Honest Hearts was the second DLC released for Fallout New Vegas. It takes you to Zion National Park, where you deal with tribals and new Canaanites, or the Joshua Graham DLC. Trust me, when you say Honest Hearts, you'll get about 3 responses: the Survivalist, Mormons, and the Burn Man. He's the main focus of the story, but we'll get there when we get there. Now, kick back and relax. We're talking about some Honest Hearts.
I survived because the fire inside burned brighter than the fire around me. I fell down into that dark chasm, but the flame burned on and on.
When you load up, a new radio station appears, the Happy Trails Caravan, spouting out this message.
Howdy. My name is Jed Masterson, and I'm a caravan boss for the Happy Trails Caravan Company. If you're hearing this, I have a job offer for you. Happy Trails is organizing an expedition north into Utah, off the Long 15, and we need people. We're looking for caravan guards, prospectors, couriers. If you're used to humping it across the waste, straight toward trouble, we want you. If you got a pit boy, we definitely want you. On the other hand, if you're a greenhorn or a city slicker spinning tales about your skills, you can kindly go hang. If we like your gumption, we'll pay you square and treat you fair. Find me, Jed Masterson, at the Northern Passage if you're interested. Luck to you.
Heading to the Northern Passage, we meet our delightful bunch of caravaneers, led by Jed Masterson. The group's goal is to head through Zion to reach New Canaan, to reestablish trade to keep the company alive. Joining him is the former sheriff of Caliente, 2 unnamed guards, and Ricky.
You looking for trouble, bud? I got plenty to spare, so watch your ass around me. Sorry, the shit I do with it is so far over your head, be wasting my time to put it in words you could understand. Basically, it makes me badass. More badass, I mean. It's totally mind-blowing shit. It ain't just some bracelet. Know what I mean?
They're not really super interesting, but I'm certain we'll learn so much more about them in our adventure. Hell, we could even probably turn Ricky around. We got our companion Stella. Oh, it's gonna be so fun.
The paths we're following are slow going, so you might as well keep your ears open and listen to what old Jed has to say. A few decades back, folks in the NCR started to hear about a community in northern Utah called New Canaan. Didn't know much about them, except that they were religious folks, sent out missionaries to talk to the tribes. We've seen our share of cults, but the New Canaanites, they were honest traders. Good fighters, too. Raiders wouldn't tangle with them. But then, the Legion appeared in Arizona. I reckon you know all about them. Turns out Caesar's first war chief, the Malpace Legate, was a New Canaanite, Joshua Graham. Legend goes that Graham was the meanest, toughest son of a bitch in the whole damn Legion. The New Canaanites wouldn't talk about him. They were ashamed. Guess I can't blame them. Well, at Hoover Dam, the Malpace Legate finally met his match. Hanlon and Oliver kicked his New Canaanite butt right back over the river. Caesar had to make an example for the others, to show them that even at the highest level, failure wouldn't be tolerated. He had Graham covered in pitch, lit on fire, and thrown into the Grand Canyon. People say he didn't even scream on the way down. Not long after, some of the slaves and tribals started to talk. Said Graham wasn't dead. Shouldn't have been any surprise. All this talk bothered Caesar, so he forbade anyone from speaking his name. Wanted to erase Joshua Graham from history. He got his wish. Joshua Graham disappeared, and in his place came legends of the burned man walking the wastes. Probably just a tribal ghost story. But New Canaan's been silent for a long time. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe the Malpace Legate is dead. Or maybe Joshua Graham did crawl out of that canyon and finally found his way back home.
Arriving in Zion, we make it not 2 steps forward before we're ambushed by the Whitelegs, who kill everybody but us. No matter what you do, you cannot save Happy Trails. Stealing our resolve and holding back our grief, and picking up my stuff from Ricky, we press on. Barely crossing the bridge, we're met by Follows Chuck, who tells us that Joshua Graham wants to speak with us. Things are going really fast. We've barely gotten settled, and we're already going off to meet him. Oh boy, I mean, we're surely in for a lot of story and content, right? Entering Dead Horse Camp, we pass by 2 bears high-fiving, and, well, can't leave a man hanging, you know? Then we're off to meet the man himself. Papa Joshua gives us the lowdown that he's leading the Dead Horses tribe against the Whitelegs, who destroyed New Canaan and are now trying to take Zion for the Legion. He sends us on a couple of fetch quests to help the tribals, and we're to bring maps, a compass, and supplies to Daniel among the Saros tribe, before we head out and then go kill some bears and tribals and other things. We take Chuck with us and collect them without anything in our way, like nothing besides fixing it with parts. 2 inches away. Whitelegs show up here and there, only to meet God's chosen handgun, 45 Auto. Also 45 Auto by Barnaky, link in the description. Meeting with our residential pacifist Daniel, he tells us about his plan to lead the Saros out of Zion so they can maintain their innocence. He sends us to harass the Whitelegs I mentioned before and, you know, poke a bear with a stick, because nothing can go wrong with there. But instead of stick, it's C4 plastic explosive. Talking to him more reveals how New Canaan fell, that they raided supply caches and armories to scale the walls in the night when most of the able-bodied Canaanites were away. They slaughtered everyone and burned Bishop Mordecai alive. There was roughly 30 of them left when they regrouped. Even now, he still doesn't want to wipe out the Whitelegs. Committed to the end, I guess. Heading to leave the Narrows, we run to Joshua Graham, where he drops the most quotable line of the DLC, the hottest bar anyone could ever have.
By the rivers of Babylon there we sat down. Yea, we wept, when we remembered Zion. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it even to the foundation. O daughter of Babylon, who ought to be destroyed. Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones.
If you don't speak Mormon, let me translate for you. Whitelegs destroyed Canaan, so now we eradicate all the Whitelegs. Hey, man, look, I'm not complaining. Sounds good to me. Which presents the 2 choices we have going forward. Help the Saros leave, or stay to fight the Whitelegs. Keep running, or hold your ground. To hold our ground, we need to militarize the Saros. After cleaning up the last of the tasks, we report to Daniel, where we decide the fate of Zion. Do we run to preserve the innocence of the Saros, or do we make our stand with the Dead Horses and Graham, and finally put the Whitelegs in the ground before they can head south? Well, we
can't expect God to do all the work.
If the Saros don't learn to defend themselves, then someone else is going to stomp them out. We can't let them go on their rampage unchecked, these Whitelegs. If they destroyed Canaan, who's to say that they can destroy any other group? Hell, maybe even head to Vegas, do some damage there. They slaughtered New Canaan, slaughtered innocents, and aim to join the Legion. The Legion. They die here and now. But, say if we did help the Saros escape, more lives would be lost than fighting the Whitelegs. And I doubt Daniel could live with his decision, even if we escaped. Even back at Dead Horse Point, he would wonder, did I do the right thing? I don't think so. That's the bad ending. That's the worst case scenario. So, let's go raise hell. Alright, friendlies are here! Action music! Peter! Oh, fuck. She's got a gun! I should not have said beat her that loud. I won't let anything happen to you. Just beat it, beat it, beat it, beat it. Come on, set her on fire, fire. Put her in the ground. Okay. Yeah. How did I miss all those shots? What are you gonna do about it? Die. That's what you're gonna do. Now, we have General Gobbledygook on his knees, where we are presented with two options. Spare him, or let Joshua put a cap in his ass. To let Joshua cap him is to let the vengeance and selfishness take hold, to teach the sorrows that there is no mercy, or we can convince him to let General Gobbledygook go. This shows the sorrows to have heart, even in war, to act upon the Lord's teachings as they are, instead of twisting them to suit one's means. But these are also important to Joshua. It's the finalization of his arc we haven't seen, but are helping shape. It's our choice. He either becomes the Malpace Legate again, or breathes a new man. For a while, I could never let go. I would always just let my anger take over. But now, as we hold him on his knees, it's gone. It's time to let go. We can't expect God to do all the work. What happens now is God's work. It's out of my hands. Zion is at peace. The white legs are gone, and salt upon wounds was butchered as an example by Caesar. The tribes can coexist. Daniel may not have liked our choice, but it will be the best long term. And Joshua is at peace. It's time to return home. Honest Hearts is the shortest DLC. You can run through it without completing the 3 or so side quests there is. I should put that into quotations because it's mainly telling Waking Cloud her husband's dead and follows Jock to stay home and
take drugs, kill a bear.
Granted, there's the Survivalist caches and his gear, but once you know, you never need to search again. There's not much else to do besides hear Joshua's voice actor and then listen to him read Genesis on the HoloNet. But now let's discuss the...
I have been baptized twice, once in water, once in flame. I will carry the fire of the Holy Spirit inside until I stand before my Lord for judgment.
The dead horse has told me details about the attack on your caravan. A stranger's sympathy might not count for much, but for what it's worth, I'm sorry.
The other new Canaanite in Zion who personally witnessed the fall back in Ogden and lived to tell the tale. A pacifist by nature, but not defenseless. He advocates for a non-violent leave of the sorrows, despite salt upon wounds, nailing the new Canaanites to cliffs and salting the earth of his old home. His dedication to his beliefs is the main selling point when it comes down to the endgame. You cannot change his mind, which I like.
O Father, guide and protect us, your humble children, as we labor in the vineyards, and make us strong to resist those who would steal Zion from us.
The second temporary companion of the Sorrows tribe, she is the midwife and the best connection Daniel has to the tribe. She has many children, and her quest revolves around breaking the news about her husband's death. Not telling her has her eventually turning the Sorrows against Daniel, while breaking the news allows her to process and forgive Daniel for how difficult the subject is.
Hoi, white legs don't leave survivors often. You're some kind of lucky, let me tell you.
The Dead Horse Scout is the first friendly face we meet in Zion. He's the one that tells us that Joshua wants to speak with us, which starts the main quest. Your side quest with him revolves around his personal desire to explore the world beyond Zion. He has you talk to Graham, who wants you to give him advice, as he wants Chalk to make the decision himself. He asks you what you think, and your input determines his fate. If he goes out, he's slowly treated as the black sheep of the dead horses before never returning at all. And if he stays, he eventually forgoes his dreams of exploration to remain amongst his family.
I want to have my revenge. Against him. Against Caesar. I want to call it my own. To make my anger God's anger. To justify the things I've done.
The former Malpace Legate who helped Sallow form what became the Legion that conquered Arizona. He, however, could not defeat the NCR at the Hoover Dam. For his failure, he was tarred, set aflame, and thrown to his doom. Well, that's what the mighty Kaisar would want you to believe. Oh, he knows that Graham walked away. So many assassins have been sent to never return. Graham returned to New Canaan, welcomed with open arms into the fold, and he will always blame himself for drawing the wrath of the Legion to his home. A couple DLCs later, we learn that Ulysses was the one who helped the Whitelegs destroy New Canaan, turning them into an army fit for the Legion. But the fall of his home at the hands of the Salt Upon Wounds fuels Graham. He wants to wipe them off the face of the earth for what they did. No mercy for them, as none was given first, especially to his family. Throughout the adventure, he's on the final step of his own arc, developed off-screen. He's stuck between wanting to be a new man and stumbling back into the Malpace Legate. Killing Salt Upon Wounds, who has surrendered, as a message is what the Burn Man would do. The inner Legate, the rumored monster still out there. But letting him go is what Joshua Graham would do. A new Canaanite, a man of God and the faith. He either abandons his life of sin and anger or falls back into it, now powered by twisted righteousness. Plus, the Malpace in him should know that Caesar does not tolerate failure, and the Whitelegs are done for. So sparing him doesn't let him off the hook.
I survived because the fire inside burned brighter than the fire around me.
I was initially hesitant about including the Survivalist in this category, since he is not an active NPC we can speak to. He was a man who survived the bombs because of his latest trip to Zion, but his family was not so lucky. I could not do his story enough justice, so I'm recommending this video for his story. But it's a tearjerker, and he is one of the best non-noteworthy backstory of this DLC, besides Joshua Graham himself.
The dead horse has told me details about the attack on your caravan. A stranger's sympathy might not count for much, but for what it's worth, I'm sorry.
Honest Hearts is definitely story-focused over exploration and side quests. If you're hunting for the survivalist gear in story, you go to some caves, while about 90% of the other places either have nothing of interest or are fast travel points. Now, if it was set up to be mainly exploration over story like Old War Blues, then yeah, there would be a problem. But here it really isn't. It's a national park. I don't know what you can expect out of it. Some hidden bunker of, some vault of science and miracle cures. It just wouldn't make sense. Scattered around the map are caches from the Survivalist, so that's one incentive to explore, to varying degrees of rewards, like surgical tubing and healing powder or forceps. But now it's time for the...
We have made and kept covenants with our Lord God to honor his laws. In exchange, we are promised eternal salvation after this life.
Honest Hearts is relaxing. Too relaxing, maybe, for a Whiteleg invasion. But that's a minute thing. There's hardly any NPC to talk to learn much about the tribes of Zion besides our new Canaanite friends. To be honest, any real problems I have are few besides nitpicking. The two followers repeat the same 3 or 4 lines so often it's annoying. That and it's incredibly undercooked. Like, the center is hot, but everything else is like lukewarm or cold. I want to learn more about the dead horses, but there's almost nothing. The main quest is bleh, not really interesting besides the last bit. Joshua Graham carries this story. Like, he's hospitalized once we're all done. If it wasn't him, it would just be glossed over and forgotten entirely. Compared to the other DLCs, it's arguably the worst of the 4. And that's including Dead Money. I like Dead Money. I'm going to cover that eventually, but we're not there yet. Honest Hearts cements Sunset Sarsaparilla out of a Nuka-Cola victory. God's Chosen is good, but flawed, yet we love it all the same. Now, what's that I hear about being reborn?
I want to have my revenge. Against him. Against Caesar. I want to call it my own. To make my anger God's anger. To justify the things I've done.
Honest Hearts Reborn is a reimagining of the DLC, with a whole new story for the tribes, Legion, New Canaanites, and Joshua Graham himself. Created by JamesAFloat as his first mod ever, kudos to where credit is due, it's impressive, and published on September 19th, 2015, with his last update being on June 30th, 2018. Featuring over 30 voiced NPCs, quests, and choices, the mod aims to have a fresh take on the story of the Birdman. To quote the description, also support his Kickstarter for his tabletop RPG. Despite its beautiful set in Zion National Park and the incredible story of Joshua Graham, Honest Hearts has generally been regarded as more disappointing than successful. I mean, you see the most awesome warrior in the wasteland, then he asks you to go find walkie-talkies? Honest Hearts Reborn is a canon-replacing story that tells a new story of Joshua Graham, when the courier's caravan to New Canaan is hijacked in Zion by the Legion. The courier is taken prisoner by a sadistic Legion commander named Levius, who forces the courier to help him find the burned man. The courier's journey will lead him to the highest cliff in Zion's, and to meet and influence the burned man himself. What he doesn't know is that his decisions will not only affect the Legion and Joshua, but the New Canaanites, prospectors, and all the tribes living in Zion National Park. Thank you, Dino Johnson. Now, take your check and leave. But you may know it as the Honest Hearts Theater Edition, which is funny because the story was written by award-winning playwright Ted S. Bushman. Yeah, that doesn't answer the question. What even is Honest Hearts Reborn? Honest Hearts Reborn takes us not to the Northern Passage, which it blocks off to prevent problems. It doesn't stop the problems that the mod causes. But to a truck waiting nearby with Jen and Lucy Masterson. Jen has lost all their money on the strip and is trying to make amends by making a caravan trip to New Canaan. Needs a +1 for the trip, which is where Thaddeus Rodimus comes in and hops along, played by Dino Johnson. Sometime later, we're parked on an outlook above Zion, which everyone calls Zion's, which is I don't understand, but okay, where Chen asks us about second chances. This will be an overarching theme for the rest of our story. We get some sleep and continue the journey, but luck isn't on our side despite my name. We lose the truck and most of the goods, save for what's on our backs. Then, the Legion. Now, look, did I ever tell you boys about a good man called the Lord? Now listen, I gotta tell you about this man, the Lord. He is a great man. He accepts you for who you are, you know, and you only do. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Mastersons have died. You're now stranded in Zion Park. Hey! Listen here. Oh God, where did you come from? Legionnaires! Oh golly! Golly, oh Lord! I'm only doing this because you're forcing me to, not because I hate you. It's wrong of me to hate somebody, but you know, you don't start it. Gotta defend myself. I don't like guns. I only use muskets because that's what we were told that we were allowed to use back home. I think that man shooting me with a BB gun. You know, listen, man. This is the way it's gotta be. Listen. It just has to be this way, okay? Now listen up here. You're gonna stop that right now, or I'm gonna have to say some very hurtful things about you. Listen, I don't want to hurt you, but I will if you keep making me use my... Listen, mate, you got the luck of the Lord about you. But that luck just ended. We're taken by Nonus to the Legate with no other choice. We have to go along, where we're interrogated and told to help the Legion, else they'll slaughter everyone. We can attempt to fight, or we can go along. For now. Option 2, Mr. Lega Vague Levius, has his second accompanying us since he is also their translator for the tribals. That's a key feature of this new Zion. If you don't have a translator, you're not speaking to the tribals, and ours of the moment is Brutus. With him as our force companion, we set off into Zion's to visit the Legion's new recruit of a tribe, the Bloodstones. Saul upon wounds, the chief, says we are to check out a missing patrol of hers. That's right, SUW is female now. She and her bloodthirsty warriors are prepared to destroy the Legion's enemies. Going to check it out, we find Dead First Recon, whose audio logs reveal that they were ambushed by burned ones. zealots devoted to the myth of the burned man. These ones were super mutants, which is another thing that is a new addition to the mod. Clearing them out, we head back to the SUW and relay the info. We're told to seek out the Witch Doctor 1/10 to find out what and where our goal is. Getting there, we find 1/10 fending off burned ones with a flamer. Helping her out, we learn her name is Amy Wilkes, a former New Canaanite missionary who's remained in self-imposed exile. She wants to know why the Legion wants Joshua. So going back, we're told by Levius that they want to bring him back into the fold, and if not, remove him. Returning, we tell her the truth and she refers us to Angel's Landing. Making our way there, we meet Brother Aeolus, who asks why we seek the Holy Burned Man. No matter what you tell this man, he gets pissed off and rallies the zealots against us, meaning we have to fight our way to the peak. Nearing the end, we hear a voice shouting, "Listen, I did not want to have to carve through all you people, but Brutus claims to be able to bring down that beast of a super mutant, that he'll raise a rebellion with the Burn Man at the helm. Because, also, spoiler alert, Brutus isn't the actual Brutus that came along with Levius. He's someone else who's got a gripe with Seaver and doesn't think he's worthy of leading them, so he wants Joshua. It's complicated. But since his back is now turned, we have a chance to put him down. Sorry, Brutus. Sic Semper Tyrannis. We put Adam down as well, because we have no other choice. And then we go see the man himself. Graham doesn't have the same voice, but the lines sound like him. A younger him, at the start of his arc that we didn't see back in regular Honest Hearts. His arc of redeeming himself in his own eyes, to make amends for his crimes. He doesn't know why we're here. If we're going to kill him, then we ought to do it. Otherwise, we just tell him that Levius is here for him, that we need him. He tells us he doesn't know who to side with, who to spare and who to kill, and we reply by telling him that he ought to protect his fellow New Canaanites, so they might help him. He tells us to be his eyes and ears, to find reasons for him to act, and that's where we go for a better chunk of the mod. We're off to get the census on Joshua Graham, door to door like true Mormons of the church. Great. Checking out an area I stumbled onto earlier, we meet the Super Mormons, who hold him in high regard. But that's not our true destination. We head over to the Sun and Moon's camp, where we somehow get in without much of a problem, or a translator. Here we meet the New Canaanites on a mission. There's Ezra, Nibley, Mordecai, and Zoe. Ezra's a ghoul builder who doesn't think too highly of Graham. Mordecai absolutely hates his guts with the passion of Christ. Nibley's the super Mormon who believes that he should be welcomed back into the fold, as it is the New Canaanite way. Then there's Zoe Young, who shares the same view as Nibley about Graham. She also joins us as our universal translator. Much better than best friend Brutus, rest in peace. Heading back, we relay all this to Graham. Well, we tell him Nibley's view at least, because can't have him, putting 45 in his fellow 45 owners, Some babble talk back and forth, convincing him that we should not only protect the New Canaanites, but should not give any mercy to Legion. Look, green-haired mother figure may say some good things, but it's the Legion. Are we just going to forget Nelson, Nipton, the first recon lady, Camp Searchlight, Ulysses, New Canaan itself being burned down? Turning Arizona into I want to say wasteland, but it's essentially a wasteland on the brink of collapse. Like, the second even if they win, I'm going on a tangent here, but even if they win, they're gonna fall. Like, I don't know how. It takes one greatly strong, unified military force just to crush them. Anyways, but these people are slavers, murderers. Let's not forget. Oh wow, oh my god, I even mentioned all this. Oh yeah, they're also slavers too. They may be reformed tribals, but once they run out of land, they won't have any more food to feed their Spread out empire. The Legion must die. This is the way. But to do that, we'll need an army to drive them out. Joshua will need medicine to cure his ailing wounds. He can barely move, let alone fight. Somehow he's able to even speak to us. So we're off again, talking to tribes and the New Canaanites. We recruit Amy to be our resident doctor. The Highlanders pledge to follow us. We turn the Bloodstones against each other to appoint a new chief. We get child soldiers from the Sun and Moon tribe, fuel the caffeine addiction of the Locked Horns, and tell Mordecai that he has to put his grudge aside to do what is right. To help Joshua Graham begin again. The last piece we need is in a vault in the Sun and Moon camp. We're looking for something called the FSR, an offshoot of the FEB designed for medicinal use. Fighting our way through ghouls, we reach the bottom. Man, what is this, a race to the bottom? According to the logs, they were sampling their tests off of Subject Zero. And at the end of the hall, we meet them. They're a child. We talk with them and kindly request the serum to help Joshua get a second chance. She passes it to us, and then we also get a side quest item that we'll discuss that later. But let's go ahead and talk to Joshua and give him the good news. We have an army, and we got the FSR. I think it's almost time. He tells us he wants to partake in a ritual with us before we begin. So finish all side quests before we join him. When we're ready, we smoke some black weed and enjoy reliving his memories of fighting the NCR and his last conversation with Daniel before the first battle of the dam.
Joshua, thank goodness you came. Brightseer said we'd be safe here. Listen, I needed to talk to you.
It's good to see you again, Daniel.
I'm glad to hear you say that, Joshua. A lot has changed. I've heard unbelievable things. When we went to the Grand Canyon and you were kidnapped, Amy and I thought everything was over. But now I hear that 7 tribes have been wiped off the map. There are these soldiers in red coming into Zion. Were you a part of this?
You need to get out of Zion as soon as possible.
Why, Joshua? What's going on? Everyone is telling me that I need to leave, that I should give up on you. But I know you. You're my best friend. Stop this. Whatever's going on, come with me and Amy back to New Canaan. If you don't, I'll have to stop you.
Daniel, I want to protect you, please. Go.
This is insane. You are betraying everything we believe in. I am the only one who thinks you haven't lost your mind. Wait a minute. Edward?
Edward? When you turn around, you recognize the face in front of you, a younger man whose face will someday soon haunt the world's nightmares. The face is the first person who truly match your intellectually. Edward's eye looks displeasingly at you, at Daniel. He had told you not to meet with Daniel, said it was a stupid endeavor. Edward, don't do this. The gunshot that follows will still ring in your ears forever. Daniel doesn't scream. Oh. Daniel! Daniel! Then we fight. Okay. Oh, sweet baby lord, I thought I hit the Highlander. Alright, let's go. Ezra! What the hell? One of the teenagers died! Oh, Ezra, you're still alive. One of their teenagers died. I will not let any new Canaanites die. Ezra, use your gun and fight! Nibbly! Wow, the teenagers really did put up a fight. Where do they get Remnant's power armor? Ezra! Everyone did a good job. Good job. Now, let us go. Oh, hang on. He's gonna ruin things. There we go. Levius.
Joshua, you made it.
You kind of look bulky
And with
now.
this one as well, eh? Well, Joshua doesn't need you as a crutch anymore. I've come to save him, courier, and you won't stand in my way.
It's over, Levius. You've lost.
More bluffs, and too late to matter. Joshua will come with me, whether he wants to or no. I don't need the red skirt boys anymore.
Well, what do you mean? What's with the army then?
Will you ever cease your damn questions? I needed to protect him, you understand? Only the Legion has the strength.
What do you mean save him?
I mean what I couldn't tell any of those fools out there in red, what I couldn't tell you. I didn't come on Kaiser's orders. I love Joshua, and even though he rejected me once, he has simply not been given the right opportunity. Well, now it is here.
What?
He rejected me at first. This fool religion of his. But he
Hey,
desired
don't be
me
anti-Semitic.
as well. I know it. He loved me too. He must have. Even now, destroyed as he is, I cannot let him go. And I hear him laughing in my dreams that I was a coward, that I never had him.
Listen, it's over. He came here on his own reasons.
And you are his messenger. How quaint. But what I say goes here, you understand? You know what interests me, courier? Why did you care? Why did you try to help him?
Levius. Because Joshua deserves a second chance.
What do you think, Joshua?
Joshua?
Listen to me, all of you. I am not the man you think I was. I have only just discovered it. I am a son of God, fallen and broken. But tonight I have tried to do what little I could to save my people. You do not have to forgive me. I don't know if I would if I were you. But Levius, this is over.
Oh, shit! Hey, did I just... I just heard the mysterious stranger. Listen, don't get in the way. Don't try to help. There we go. It's over. We speak to our friends one last time, then begin the journey home. Now, with some Honest Hearts. Honest Hearts Reborn falls into the same pit as its counterpart, the lack of Joshua Graham. But what do I mean by that? Once we find him, he's stuck in one spot. We can talk to him, but we spend 80% without really interacting with him. Yes, we talk to him, but we don't bond with him, grow close to him. He's there, but that's it. I don't know, Graham Reed's companion, and it's funny because he was originally intended to be in Van Buren, also follow Revelation Blues, but he isn't. That being said, he's still a solidly written character. It's a young Graham, fresh from treachery and far from rebirth like the one we see in Honest Hearts. We get to meet more tribes who are distinctly different in appearance and culture. The Locked Horns are, well, kind of like the rest of Vegas and other modern civilizations, except for their obsession with caffeine. I mean, shit, that hasn't changed. The Bloodstones are vicious warriors, the Sun and Moons are directly influenced by the New Canaanites, and the Burned Ones who fanatically worship the idea of the Burned Man. Also, they don't get a resolution. They're just there. They're just the enemies who you can just religiously shoot. Of course, the intro isn't the same and is kind of weaker than the original in my opinion. With the setup, Happy Trails was more convincing, but regardless, they die all the same, except now the Legion. That's right, the Legion is in Zions, led by Legate Levius, our antagonist. He wants the Burned Man, and we can't leave until we help him. For the sake of an entire valley. Though he's extremely vague at specifying what we're supposed to find. Instead of letting us loose on our own, he has a translator and a leash holder follow us until Angel's Landing, where Brutus's death. I've asked around for others' opinions, and they say with confidence that Graham is awful, that he can't decide whether he's a broken record or not. Is he? Why is the once intimidating religious warrior now weak, faithless, and cowardly? The man who people have made so many essays on, who use his AI voice to give such inspirational speeches and literally read the Bible on the HoloNet. It's time we talk about that.
Throughout our history, we have called many places Zion. This valley is full of God's beauty, but it's just a place. Zion is more than this.
I love Joshua, and even though he rejected me once, he has simply not been given the right opportunity. Well, now it is here.
Spoiler alert, the Lake had dragged an entire military force to Zion's to get the man who rejected him. The end. He wants to force Graham to love him. Livius loves the man who helped him make the Legion, make him, and created the idea of the Malpace Legate. But Graham does not love him and never will. The rejection drove him mad. Now that Graham is broken after the dam, it's his chance to reforge him as Caesar did to the tribes. In the end, you can make him realize the truth, or rightfully, put him down in the dirt because he's Legion.
Well, I'll admit I never went much for rumors myself. You might think that's strange, me being a religious man. Angels bring a man closer to God. They improve him. The monsters under the bed, now, they don't do anyone any good.
The lead missionary in Zion's and father to Zoe and the deceased Daniel. He was the first here alongside his son and Graham years ago before Edward created the Legion. He watched the fiery Graham slowly fall from grace and warned Daniel to leave his friend before it gets them all killed. And it did. Mordecai never forgave him, and until we convince him otherwise, he never will, contrary to his New Canaanite beliefs.
Nobody now, friend. I'm just me, Amy, living in an old airplane. But isn't it obvious? I used to be a New Canaanite, back when I believed that there was a wordsy, nosy God up in heaven.
The New Canaanite who abandoned their beliefs and hid when the Legion attacked the last missionary attempt in Zion's, she's lived in hiding posing as a witch doctor until we come along. She's eager to help Joshua, not the Burned Man or the Malpace Legate, but the man she knew. We help her find her faith again and rejoin the others.
I am no one's guest. I am the arm of truth. I will make the Legate proud, and soon we will have a new leader again.
The traitor in this isolated legion who wants to use the Burned Man to rise against Caesar to replace him. He killed the man whose name he wears until the time is right. He even tries to get us to help him. But you know how that went. His weapon, Sic Semper Maledictus, or Always Lying, hints at that. Plus, his name is Brutus. Brutus killed Caesar. I think you can figure it out. I would hope.
Most people after the bombs fell assumed there must be no God. But we did this, and he's still there.
The sister of deceased Young, she's the inspiring next generation of New Canaanites, who know of Graham but welcome him regardless, as they should to their fellow New Canaanites. She's our best translator for all the tribes, and yearns to learn more. It's her words upon showing her the truth of what happened to Daniel that solidifies her stance, even going against Mordecai. Joshua loves you.
So when I was naked and covered in pitch at the edge of the cliff, I heard what no one else did. Joshua, didn't you see it coming?
Unlike the original, who's gone through the metamorphosis of rebirth, this one is still in the cocoon. He's still discovering who he has to be now. Who is Joshua Graham? Is he the Malpace Legate still? Is he the mythical burned man of legend that's aroused zealots? Is he still Joshua after all this time? That's where we come in. He tells us his thoughts, his conflicting ideas and feelings, and our response influences the man he will be. What he will do now, what he will believe. We don't get to see the Graham struggling with his new self, fighting his old ways. We just help Joshua find his way, his road, and people to help him along the way. And Livius is the first obstacle he must overcome.
I don't enjoy killing, but when done righteously, it's just a chore, like any other.
Reborn has a small number of side quests. There's the quest given by Mordecai to help the missionaries, the Locked Horn soda addiction, Crazy Casca, Carrie's river search, and the old vault cure. Quick interjection, lucky from much later, like script revision. The fact you can cure someone of being impaired bothers me. Like my sis works with them, so I have a bias, but it still just feels wrong to rob Carrie of her identity. Like, sure, she didn't come out right, I guess, but she's still perfect because she came out the way as she intended. Also, sadly, there's no survivalist, just God as a child. Anyways, now I think it's time for the...
Maybe there is no place left in this world for mercy. But even if it tramples me into the dust, I will never accept it. And I will never condone it.
Look, I'll be clear with you like layman's speech. The writing is very theatrical, and in love with its diction. It holds itself up as being high and emotional. The voice acting tells you that, between the somber reflections of Mordecai and Joshua's waywardness. Oh, skip.
Other than that, well, I always wished I could play the guitar, but I never cracked it. My son, though, he,
everything okay, Mordecai?
Daniel. Daniel, he played really well.
Oh, I think... Why do you act less intelligent than you clearly are?
Well, I don't know if I'm as intelligent as all that, newcomer. But I suppose no man ever did much good in the world walking around showing off how smart he was. And I intend to do a little good if I can. Well, I hope it doesn't come across as pretense to you, because it isn't meant that way.
Any work need doing?
Thou art the man, I mean.
Thou art the man.
Of course. We could use your help. And we could even offer a little pay, though not very much.
I will take no money.
We've got a need for lumber for the temple, but we're trying to spread out our efforts to keep the park intact. We've got shipping troubles since some legionnaires took up camp northwest of here, blocking us off.
Oh, I think I've seen that one.
Last of all, there's the old mission home. Been there since the last time the new Canaanites was here, and there's some dead in there.
Oh.
Geckos keep getting in there to boot. I mean, I wonder if you could clean them out for me. I mean, you wouldn't have to go rooting around. You just, you seem tough enough. You finally made it.
Oh, you watched?
Are you here to kill me? I hear there's a lot of competition for that these days.
I'm not here to kill you.
You see, I would lay out the red carpet, but it's such an ordeal. And in the Legion, we had to do it with real bloodstained cloth. And it's no fun to see a face like mine anyway. So I'll assume you're here for a reason?
You're a hard man to find.
But you pulled it off? Even if I tried to cover my tracks. There's such drama to being burned alive. And the rest is such a slog.
It seems pretty inconvenient.
This is a horrible idea for my lungs. Inconvenient is exactly the word.
You need to know there's a Legate Levius leading the Legion. He's gonna ravage Zion.
Legate Levius? No. Either you heard wrong, or it's a bluff, or he's lying to everyone. Caesar would never raise Levius up that high. And you think I don't know that? Yes, the wasteland's in danger. You need to help fight this war. I've heard it all before. Even if it did, I wouldn't even know who to side with. Am I a new Canaanite? Am I a legionary? And for that matter, who are you? Why are you here?
I'm here because I and others need your help.
Help? I don't understand. I need help as much as the wasteland does. I've been hospitable, and I'll answer your questions. But even if there was something I could do, I don't see why I should.
If you help protect the new Canaanites, that might give you the help you need. You bring balance back to Zion, maybe yourself.
So, you did have a reason to come find me.
And judging by how I spoke during the entirety of it, I went along with the exaggeration. It was very theatrical, you could say. I wasn't me. I was how I think a float would have done a new Canaanite me. You can see the skeleton of familiarity, but it's also different. It doesn't quite matter what you tell Joshua, as you will always need to raise an army and deal with Levius. That and you decide what he's going to do. He never makes the decision himself, and the mod is centered around him as the protagonist. We aren't. We're just a small piece that influences the plot. Another thing I didn't think was handled well was the burn ones, who are never handled once we reach Graham. They're kind of forgotten about, and still hostile to you. Like, they're as forgotten about as the locked horns, who don't even have a real place in the story. They're kind of there at the start as the tribal's hostile to you because you have Brutus with you. But after that, they're just kind of chill. Like, you go to them for one thing and that's it. And I have to include the crashes and possibly linked to me having to rebuild my New Vegas, though that may have been I had Titans of the New West 1.0 that I tried removing and it didn't work because I don't like Titans of the New West. I don't care for it. But that's something else. All that's left is the
We warned you at Syracuse, and you persisted. You took advantage of us at New Canaan to drive us out, and like the dogs of Caesar you are, you followed us to Zion. And now you stand on holy ground, a temple to God's glory on earth. The only use for an animal in our temple is sacrifice.
Honest Hearts Reborn is a passionate attempt to explore the potential of what Joshua Graham's story could offer. Whilst I enjoy the additional spice to the mix and the theme of second chances, I really do feel it, that theme of second chance. And the dialogue did get me at times, but I still feel that this mod is undercooked. I mean, as to quote a float, when it's done, it's done. He could do no more without going insane. And he just said, all right, this is it. That's done. But all jokes aside, I really do think Honest Hearts Reborn has earned its resounding score of a Sunset Sarsaparilla with a large dose of Nuka Wild. A 3.8 out of 5. That's right. Almost a complete Nuka-Cola Wild. It's warm at the center, but the rest needs to stay on the stove a bit longer. And really involve the player with the tribes. Graham and his plight with his old ways. Just a little bit more with that. Now, if it wasn't just JamesAFloat coding this and working on it, then that would have probably helped more. But hey, he still did all of this on his own, learned it on his own. I have to give credit to that. That is dedication. Pure dedication. And even still enjoys it. He's happy with his product. As he should. As he should. We're told time and time again but not shown. He's sitting around twiddling his thumbs, telling me he has issues, and not showing me with his interactions with people. I want to see him encounter situations and struggle, kind of like how the vanilla companions do, like Boone, who straight up tells you, we go down there, I'm killing everybody in Cottonwood Cove. Or just will straight up kind of have his snippets, dialogue, when you do certain things. That adds character. That's the kind of thing I want to see. But now I want to do a quick bullet point of the differences between the two before we hit the real meat that I've tacked on.
The forced stability regime forces the body to develop certain regeneration centers, specifically in major organs and the brain.
He rewinded Joshua to the point after the flames, after his fiery baptism, to where he could start again. I think he has good writing for the theme, but is held down by the media. The bugs shatter the immersion, and you can't take it seriously. Honest Hearts has the Sorrows, White Legs, and Dead Horses, while Honest Hearts Reborn has Locked Horns, Burned Ones, Bloodstones, Sun and Moons, and the Legion. New Canaan is destroyed in Honest Hearts while thriving in Honest Hearts Reborn. This is honestly the best change. Ulysses' involvement is non-existent in Honest Hearts Reborn. Mordecai in Honest Hearts Reborn is named after the deceased bishop in Honest Hearts. Daniel, as far as we know, doesn't have a sibling in Honest Hearts. Joshua has found himself in Honest Hearts and has minor struggles, while Honest Hearts Reborn is fresh off being burned. The Survivalist is replaced by the betrayed child in the Old Vault. Both are seen as gods and serve as points for the theme of second chances. Daniel isn't dead in Honest Hearts and is not related to Mordecai. Salt Upon Wounds' gender is reversed in Honest Hearts Reborn and given minor character. The NCR is hunting Graham in Honest Hearts Reborn. The new Canaanites hold Joshua Graham in contempt instead of the welcomed prodigal son, as seen in Honest Hearts. Now for the real question.
I have been baptized twice, once in water, once in flame. I will carry the fire of the Holy Spirit inside until I stand before my Lord for judgment.
Did Honest Hearts Reborn ruin the famous Birdman? Now, to preface this, there is an interview someone did, one of the voice actors, with the creator, JamesAFloat. He, of course, defends his mod and gives backstory to him creating the story he wanted to tell. It's 45 minutes, and I highly recommend you check it out. But back to the topic at hand. The goal was to focus on faith, personal change, and redemption. It wants to hit Joshua Graham at his personal history, and how he's influenced others around him. Honest Hearts Graham is a warrior of God who is trying to escape his shadow, a fiery steed of vengeance. Reborn Joshua is wayward, lost, and doesn't know his place in the world now, a broken vessel without purpose. The theme, according to Afloat, as he interpreted the base game upon his first playthrough, was the game was rigged from the start. So upon our arrival to Zion's, we're captured and there's no escape akin to the inability to save Happy Trails. You either do as the Legion says or everyone dies, but you break the leash and torch the Legion. The thing that Afloat mentioned was the interest in Joshua's journey, why he decided to go back, to see the thought process, the arc, whereas in the main game it's already done. To see him struggle with his faith and the literary journey to redemption. I must also note that Afloat is a Mormon, so his usage of the New Canaan faith is from first-hand experience. There's also this idea of Graham we love, the fiery warrior of God ready to do anything and everything he sees fit for the greater good. A man who found peace and redemption. It's an icon for people who need that, who want to have that serenity. It's easy to love the end but never know the agony of getting there. The confusion, the second guessing. It's all there. Maybe it's just me, but I enjoy this Graham, even though I wanted more. That's why I almost gave it a 4 out of 5. But what do you think about Reborn? Let me know below, and next time I'll be figuring out whose lost diary was left in Good Springs.
Rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we wept, when we remembered Zion. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom, the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it even to the foundation. O daughter of Babylon, who ought to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stone.